Well, hey friends, and welcome back to the Empowered Life podcast. And today's episode is going to look a little bit different because I am taking you with me to Africa. So I recently had the incredible opportunity to travel with allies through South Africa, through Zambia and Zimbabwe. And I got to experience this mission firsthand, and I got to meet the kids and spend time with the mentors and the leaders who are truly the heartbeat of this mission, and really see the Allies Mentoring Program up close and personal on the ground. And I want you to experience it with me. So we are going to be going behind the scenes. We're going to see the programs and the people and the stories, and of course, some pretty incredible adventures along the way. But really, more than anything, I hope what you see is what I saw, and that is the ripple effect that happens when people choose to just show up and to pour their life into someone else and to empower someone. And so let's do it. Let's go to Africa. So we're off on our Africa adventure, and our trip started from DFW, just saying goodbye to our family and friends and meeting everyone for the first time. We got to pray over each other and over the journey ahead. You start off as total strangers, just standing around the airport, and somehow, after everything that you experience, you come home feeling like family. And we definitely had plenty of time to get to know each other, so we flew about 10 hours from Dallas to London, had our layover there, and then hopped on another plane for another 10-hour flight to Johannesburg, South Africa. But we are so excited to finally be there and to experience all that's ahead. It was so good to finally get to meet Sylvia in person. She is our team leader. And so after getting some much needed rest, it was time to really begin our adventure. Before jumping into serving, we started by just getting to know the people and the culture and the history of the place that we had come to serve. And I really appreciate that. I think that there's something so important about just taking the time to understand the people that you're there to serve. And one of our stops was at the Apartheid Museum, and it was so eye-opening and just really gave us context for so much of what this country and its people have experienced, and just their fight for freedom and their resilience and their strength. Throughout the museum, there were so many words from Nelson Mandela that really stopped me in my tracks. And there was one in particular that really spoke to me about resilience. And he said, "There are few misfortunes in this world that you cannot turn into a personal triumph if you have the iron will and the necessary skill." And I love that because resilience isn't about pretending that hard things haven't happened. And the orphans and the children that we're here to serve, they know that firsthand. But it's about what we choose to do with them and how we allow those experiences to shape us and strengthen us and even become part of the way that we go and impact others. But probably the quote from Mandela that stood out the most to me was this, and it said, "To be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." And y'all, that felt so connected to the heart of Allies and what it means to live an empowered life. It's not just about what you've overcome or what God has done for you. The question really is, what are you going to do with what you've been given? Because we know empowered people empower people, and over the next few days, we are going to see that lived out right in front of us. So from there, we headed to our first Allies Mentoring Program to visit the children at St. Laurence Children's Haven, which is a home for about 40 children, and there's 7 volunteers and mentors that support them there. And from the minute we arrived, there were smiles and hugs everywhere. These beautiful girls, man, they made my day. They were so full of life and energy. They sang the national anthem for us, which was so beautiful. And then this fun girl decided to give us her very enthusiastic version of the U.S. national anthem, which we loved. One of the things I was most excited about on this trip was just simply getting to see the Allies mission up close. And so our job wasn't to come in and take over what these leaders are already doing. We were really there to just witness it and encourage them and pray for them and just remind them that there are people all the way across the world who see what they're doing and we are cheering them on. So we shared a meal together. There was lots of hugs and playing and crafting, and we really got to see the mentors in action. The Allies lesson that day was about different nations and cultures around the world, just really opening the children's eyes. And Natalie did such a great job teaching. One of my favorite parts of the visits have become just gathering around the mentors and getting to pray for them and over them. Because the children thrive when someone consistently shows up for them, and that's what they're doing every single time.
I want to get to know y'all. So how long have you been volunteering with Allies?
Just since the start of the year.
Okay, and how did y'all hear about it?
Natalie is the children's pastor at our church,
Okay.
and she just wanted to start doing something this year. She knew what, and I think just on the internet she found Allies' name, got involved, and then through church she told the rest of it.
Yeah.
So why did you say yes? Why did you say that's something I want to do?
For me, I've always been able to serve with children at my church, but this is something completely different where at a young age, they don't understand like what's happening. And I just feel like it was a great opportunity for me to connect with them. And I guess, I don't know if to say like be an outside friend is the correct term, but like, I don't know, like offer like my help in a way that I can help.
Yeah.
I serve a children's ministry on Sundays. And then I think it's also something I generally enjoy, and it's a good opportunity to tell them about Jesus.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Yeah.
I'm studying occupational therapy, so when we do pediatrics and stuff, it's very much so you work with children who are dysfunctional. There is something wrong with them, obviously, that they seek in healthcare services for and stuff. And I think that teaches you to have a very medical lens on everything. Like, what's wrong? What are we going to do? And I think coming here was just an opportunity to see these kids don't have everything, but they have everything at the same time. So I think, that's been very special. I think a lot of people, you chase material things, like what money can buy and whatever. And at this home, they don't necessarily have all of the possessions we get taught to chase, but they have family. They see each other as family. They love each other. They have God, obviously most importantly. So I think if you actually take your life back to the core, you realize they are so happy, and that's just they're making the best of everything.
Yeah. Wow.
Empowered people, empower people.
All right. Thank you, guys.
So our next morning started with a beautiful African sunrise, and then we're off for a true adventure, because you can't come all the way to Africa and not go on a safari or two. So it was incredible to get to see the animals in their natural environment and to get to experience truly one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. It was breathtaking on so many levels, and just really fun for us to get to experience this together as a team. One of the things I love about the Allies Adventure Trips is that there's room for adventure and mission. And so we get to experience the beauty of the country we're visiting while never losing sight of why we're there. So after taking in the beauty of South Africa, it was time for the next part of our journey. So we packed up again and said goodbye to South Africa and headed to the airport for the next part of our adventure, Livingstone, Zambia. But first, we didn't want to go a day without a little reminder that Jesus saves. And after everything that we had already experienced in South Africa, I was so excited to see what was waiting for us in Zambia. As we walked off the plane, we were greeted with the sweetest welcome. Several of our Allies leaders were there waiting for us with big smiles and hugs and their arms full of just handmade gifts and food and fruit and goodies that they had brought just for us. We didn't know it yet, but some of the people standing there welcoming us would become such a meaningful part of our time in Zambia. But first, we need supplies, so we loaded up on snacks and goodies and candy. So the kids welcomed us with singing and dancing, and let me tell you, these kids love to sing and dance. I could sit all day and just watch them. They took so much pride in showing us what they had learned and singing about their love of Christ and just sharing their lessons with us. One lesson here focused on making wise choices with your time and with your money, and the leader walked through several different scenarios talking about the difference between spending wisely and being wasteful, and just getting to see the kids engage and give their reasons to why and how they make the decisions they make was so powerful. It's practical life skills like this that are such an important part of the Allies Mentoring Program. These mentors aren't just showing up to entertain the kids for an afternoon. They are truly helping them prepare for life. So we got to walk around and meet the kids and hand out bracelets and cross necklaces and just encourage them and remind them that they're loved. And of course, we handed out plenty of food and goodies and snacks. One of the most powerful stories at Ebenezer actually belongs to their leader, Daniel. So Daniel lived here himself as a child. He was an orphan at Ebenezer. And today he is back as a leader, pouring into the children who are walking a path very similar to the one he once walked.
Well, the children are a blessing. And it's not only the children, but even on my part. I lost my parents at a young age, and I was inspired by God's people, the missionaries who were teaching me the Word of God and how to really appreciate what we have and how to let the children help others in the community. So if you look at these children from Ebenezer, they have different stories. They have got parents who are not able to buy for them clothes, or maybe they're coming from broken homes. And then when they come together and share these stories with them, share the lessons, they become joyful, and at least we can see the impact to say, in the years to come, these will be responsible citizens, and that's the country we want. That's why I take part in that, and just to show that, okay, I was also there, and now I'm here, and then we can at least bring a better change and show them that God loves them.
Someone believed in Daniel, and now Daniel is helping these children believe in themselves. So I got to meet 4 girls who eagerly told me all about their dreams and their circumstances, y'all. They are difficult, but their dreams are big. And there's just something so powerful about having someone in your life who helps you believe that those dreams are possible, and that's what Daniel does.
Empowered people. Empowered people.
So before leaving, once again, we gathered around the mentors and the leaders and just prayed over them. Our next stop was the Mandia village, a rural community along the upper Zambezi, just outside of Livingston. And as we made our way farther and farther out of the city into the village, you could immediately see how different daily life is here in the village. Families live without many of the things that we take for granted every day. But as we pulled in, what really caught my attention wasn't what was missing and what they were lacking. It was in the beautiful people that were waiting for us. These children were so excited to see us, and even more excited to show us everything that they had been learning through the Allies Mentoring Program. People from throughout the village came and wanted to be part of the celebration, and Pastor Marios shared the gospel with the children and led them in a beautiful prayer. They showed us what they had learned, they sang, they danced, and of course, we ate. There's always food and plenty of snacks. And y'all, seeing the conditions that the people live in here is really difficult to wrap your brain around. Just imagining living with no electricity and no running water, and families living in mud homes and having to collect the water they drink and bathe from the Zambezi River. And y'all, the need is so real. But I also don't want to define the people by what they don't have, because what we encountered was also their strength and their faith and their hospitality and their laughter and their joy. These sweet boys absolutely loved seeing themselves on video. They were being so silly with their suckers and just trying to get as much camera time as possible before we left. And then I got to spend some sweet time with the incredible leaders that are serving here. So for more than 28 years, Pastor Marios and Diana, his wife, have poured into the children in Zambia. And now they're watching the fruit of that investment multiply. Children that they once ministered to have grown up to become leaders themselves that are pouring into the next generation. So their story is a beautiful picture of what we're talking about and the ripple effect of empowerment. And they showed children the love of Christ, not just through their words, but through their action. And now here, years later, those kids are doing the same for someone else. So the next day was truly an adventure. It started with me facing one of my biggest fears, heights. Seeing one of the 7 natural wonders of the world was beyond breathtaking. But standing here at Victoria Falls, I was also reminded that this river is so much more than just a beautiful view. It is truly woven into the daily lives of the people who call this area home. This same river is creating incredible wonder, and it flows through all of the communities that we were there visiting. And this is where families truly depend on it as part of their daily life. We weren't just here to see Africa. We were getting to see the opportunity to just really better understand the land and the people and the communities. And after getting completely soaked by the falls, we dried off and headed to our next Allies Mentoring Program. So our next Allies Mentoring Program takes us to Chibule, a small rural village about 20 miles outside of Livingston, where again, access to things like education and basic resources can look very, very different from what many of us are used to. So knowing that really gave me an even greater appreciation for what we were about to see. But once again, we were greeted with a true celebration. They were so amazing. They were songs and gifts and cakes and dancing. Truly one of the warmest welcomes we received. And the singing and the dancing, it just never gets old. These kids are so proud to show us everything they've learned. One of the Allies lessons that they demonstrated was on first aid and how to properly care for different injuries and wounds. Another one was about clean water and different techniques that they can use to try to make their water safer. And these are the lessons that have true real life implications for these kids. Another lesson really stayed with me, and it was about different professions. You know, we often ask the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? But sometimes before a kid can truly dream about their future, somebody has to help them see what's out there and what's possible. The joy of the leaders here was just incredible, and so much of that reflects their leader, Paul. His passion for these kids and his leadership were evident in the way that the volunteers just showed up and interacted. And Paul has an incredible story of his own that we are definitely going to be sharing later on the podcast, so you won't want to miss that. So while the children were singing, I just kept hearing this one voice coming from behind me that just stood out from all the others. So I looked across the crowd and I was able to notice who it was. And so after the program, I found her and I told her how much her voice blessed me. And then she asked if she could sing for me. And so she gathered a few of her friends around and they started singing. And they sang, "It is finished in the Lord."
Everything is finished in my everything is finished. Everything is finished in my Lord.
And standing there listening to them, I realized they weren't just singing a beautiful song for me. They were declaring their faith and honestly reminding me of mine. So one of my favorite ways that you can get involved with Allies is through our sponsorship program. So sponsorship connects you with one child in particular, and you can be a part of their life and exchange letters and pictures and pray for them and encourage them and just support the work that's happening through Allies with them. And if you travel with Allies on an adventure trip, you may even have the opportunity to meet that child in person, and that's what several of us got to do. And this is where I got to meet my sponsored child, Richard. So Richard loves soccer, and so I brought him a soccer ball and a Bible, and I am definitely not much of a soccer player, but we had fun. And we all exchanged gifts and just played together and just simply got to spend time with one another. And for all of us who met our sponsored child that day, it truly was a highlight that we will never forget, because suddenly this child was not just a name or a picture. It was a child and a personality and a laugh and a dream and just this life that you are getting the privilege to invest in. So from there, we went farther into the village where we were welcomed into the home of this incredible woman. She showed us her home, her chickens and her eggs, and she was preparing dinner, and she invited us in to help. And so there we were, crushing peanuts together while she showed us how it was done. We later got to hear more of her story, and y'all, her circumstances are difficult. But she welcomed us into her home with so much warmth and just dignity. And several people on our team later said that it was moments like that that truly impacted them the most. So after a long day of adventure and time with the kiddos, we finished our evening around the table at one of our mentors' homes that welcomed us in with so much love. So they hosted us for an incredible dinner, and we just simply got to fellowship and encourage one another and break bread and recharge. And some of the best moments happen around tables like this. These are the people doing the work every single day. So we'll fly home soon, but they're staying here, still showing up, still loving these kids, and still investing. So the next morning was Sunday, and we got to start our day with the beautiful children of Dambwa Central, led by Precious, and they greeted us, representing some of the different nationalities that they had learned about through the Allies Mentoring Program. And once again, they were excited to show off everything they learned. Of course, they're singing, and they recited their memory verses, and they taught us different lessons. One of my favorites was getting to see the things that they had engineered just using recycled materials. These kiddos built trains from recycled water bottles, and this girl built a home using just mud and sticks. They performed for us, they gave us gifts and lots of food, more smiles and hugs. And then I got to meet this sweet boy named Blessing, and he told us that his dream was to become a pastor. So I happened to have an extra devotional with me that was filled with scripture and God's promises, and I just felt prompted to give it to him. And there was just something about him that really stood out to me. And so I got the opportunity to just look him in the eyes and encourage him and affirm the calling that he had felt God had placed on his heart. So I don't know where that dream will take him, but it was such an honor to get to just cheer him on and speak life over him. And I hope to one day get to find out. And then there was time for dancing, and man, did we dance, and we danced, and we danced. And there is so much joy in these children. So from there, we walked next door to the church where we had the privilege of witnessing a baptism. And it was just this beautiful reminder of why we're here and what this trip is all about. And it's really about seeing lives restored and hope renewed and people just stepping into a new future. So the next morning, we were up and at 'em again, headed to our third and final country, Zimbabwe. So after crossing the border, we got to experience the other side of Victoria Falls and share a quick meal together, and then load it up again on the snacks for our next Allies Mentoring Program. Our first stop was at Windows of Hope, serving vulnerable children in the Victoria Falls area, and this particular program was especially meaningful for our team. So St. John Lutheran Church in Mansfield, Texas sponsors this entire Allies Mentoring Program for the Windows of Hope community. And their support makes it possible for these mentors to keep showing up for these kids. One of the things that struck me about these kids in particular was their confidence. These kids truly shined as leaders. They stood up, they recited poems from memory and lessons and Bible verses, and they shared what they had learned. And I absolutely loved the way they would introduce themselves. They would say, "I, the girl standing before you, am none other than," and then she would proudly say her name. So Pastor Kay had been intentionally building up these kids and just helping them discover their voice and teaching them that they have something valuable to contribute. And that is leadership development, and you could see the results standing right in front of us. And of course, there was singing and dancing and laughter. And Pastor John from St. John's shared a powerful prayer over these children, that God would surround them and lead them and encourage them in all their ways. And then we got to hand out hygiene kits that were provided by the St. John's community. And their smiles said it all. These kids were so articulate and so confident, and I wanted to capture some of them on video so I could bring their sweet voices home and share them with you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wanjile Chabang. I'm going to recite a poem about my heartfelt thanks. My heartfelt thanks to you, Allies. You have opened doors to education and fun provided for us. When our journey's been tough and done, we thank you for your love and kindness that is true. You have taught us to be responsible. You have taught us to be superheroes in first aid. You have taught us money management adventures. You have taught us intellectual development, creativity. You have taught us hygiene and clean water. Thank you, Allah, is we're grateful for you.
We are Windows of Hope children. We are humble, disciplined, and obedient children. Thank you for the love, care, and support you give to us every day. We truly appreciate your help from our helpers, leaders, and allies. As we say, a helping hand is a caring hand. Thank you for giving us hope in future. Thank you for believing in us. We know our lives are in safe hands. Thank you.
Psalms 119 verse 1 of 5. Thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. Thank you.
Psalms 34 verse 7. Come, my children, listen to me. I'll teach you the fear of the Lord. Thank you.
So when it came time to leave, once again, we gathered around the leaders and we prayed and we encouraged them and we thanked them because they are the boots on the ground and their impact is undeniable. From there, we took a short trip down the road to our final Allies mentoring program at the Precious Lillies. This one has a cool story. So Precious Lillies is a newer program, and it actually grew out of the Windows of Hope one that we just attended. And on this day, we visited around 200 kids showed up. As we came around the corner, literally kids were singing and praising Jesus, and they were smiling, and they were hanging out of the windows, and the volunteers were so engaged. The energy in this room was unbelievable. And man, these kids love to dance. They showed off some of their moves. Eventually, we decided to spread out a little bit so we could play some more. So we took a walk to their playground. It was a little bit further than we anticipated, but apparently nothing to these kids. So when we finally arrived, it was essentially just a giant dirt field. The singing and the dancing just kept going. We played, we handed out snacks and goodies, and mostly we just wanted to spend time together. We wanted these kids to feel seen and loved. And just like that, our Allies adventure trip has come to an end. So we packed the vans, we loaded up all our things. We said some really hard goodbyes, especially to Sylvia, our incredible leader who had just taken such great care of us. Y'all, her passion and her commitment to the Lord and to Allies and to these kids, it is trickling down to every leader that we got to meet and every program that we visited. So it was time to begin our long journey back to Texas. We're talking 40 hours. Y'all, yes, we were tired and we were ready to see our family, but we were so grateful for the adventure we shared and for these 3 countries and all the miles and all the singing and the dancing and the adventures and more memories than we could count. We were finally headed home. So on the last night, we tried to put into words what this trip had meant to us. And we talked about how we would carry what we experienced home with us. And when we were each asked to describe the trip in one word, the words that were shared were changed, inspired, heartwarming, beautiful, humbled, joyful, exponential, perspective expanded, blessing. And I loved hearing what had impacted each person differently. For some, it was finally meeting the sponsor child that they had been praying for and supporting from thousands of miles away. For other, it was the mother who welcomed us into her home despite everything that she was facing and getting to pray with her. Some talked about the joy of the kids and just their laughter and their faith and how eager they were to just welcome us in and sit with us and play with us. And of course, many were impacted by the commitment of the mentors and the volunteers who show up for these kids. Pastor John talked about what happened when he simply just got down on the kids' level and danced and played with them. And for me, I will never forget those girls standing in front of me declaring it is finished in the Lord. And so when I look back at everything we experienced, I think that's what I'll carry home with me. We saw what happens when ordinary people decide to show up. And we met kids who had been poured into and who are now becoming leaders. And we have met adults who were once those kids who are now pouring into the next generation. And we saw mentors rising up, other mentors, and programs giving birth to new programs, and families serving together, and legacies. Children beginning to dream about the futures that they didn't even know were possible. And we saw what can happen when people thousands of miles away decide that they just want to be a part of it. And maybe that's what an empowered life can look like. That's one way it can look. It's just taking whatever God's placed in your hands, your story, your resources, your influence, and choosing to not keep it to yourself. Because empowered people. And so now that we're home, I think the question is this: how is God inviting me to pass on what he's given me?